Now, this is going to be my last one for today. Today's review is basically another Mark Wahlberg movie. I guess it was directed, the movie's called Patriots Day. And directed by Peter Berg, the same guy that gave us Deepwater Horizon, which I already reviewed just last video. You know, to be honest, I actually saw this just 2 years ago for free on Netflix. When I didn't have anything else to watch, I watched this movie. Simply because of Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Bacon and John Goodman, the three goats of Hollywood. This is the reason why I checked this movie out. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't give a shit about this movie. But actually, no, I take that back. It's basically about the Boston bombing marathon. It happened 13 years ago. Also, another movie based on a historical event. Give me a second, guys. So, today, I'm going to review a movie that I saw a couple years ago on Netflix for free. It's the only movie I actually liked from Netflix. I don't like anything else from Netflix. Yeah, so this movie is taking place of a tragedy strikes on April 15th, 2013. When two bomb explodes during the Boston Marathon in the aftermath of the attack, Police Sergeant Tommy Sanders, right? Played by the overrated Mark Wahlberg, FBI Special Agent Richard Deslauriers, played by Kevin Bacon, and Commissioner Ed Davis, played by John Goodman, join courageous survivors, first responders, and other investigators in a race against the clock to hunt down the suspects and bring them to justice. Let's see. Who plays the bad guys? I'm curious. Themo Milikidis, who plays Tamerlan Sarniev, and the other dude is Zokar Samaev, played by Alex Wolff. I can't stand that dude. Alex Wolff. Yeah. As much as I don't like modern movies, right? This one I kind of enjoy a little bit better than Deepwater Horizon because it's more action. There's more action in this movie than Deepwater Horizon. It's talking about terrorists instead of talking about some disaster that happened in Gulf of Mexico. Patriots Day offers a stirring, solidly crafted tribute to the heroes of a real-life American tragedy without straying into exploitative action thriller territory. Let's see. Now, for once, I am going to say good things about it and some bad things about it, so don't expect me to be too nice. This is actually one of the best and most impressive recreations of historical events ever created. Fast-paced, exciting. One of those you can't make this up stories. America only. Let's see. Peter Berg's Patriots Day is a taut, respectful recounting of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing and subsequent manhunt. Mark Wahlberg stars Sergeant Tommy Sanders, One of the few characters who doesn't directly represent a real person. Instead, he's more of a composite character, capturing the stories of a few different people involved while giving us a grounded thread to latch onto. Alongside him, Kevin Bacon, John Goodman, and J.K. Simmons deliver a strong performance, giving the film a lot of excuse me, authenticity, right? The film's pacing is relentless, effectively building tension with some real graphic scenes without resorting to excessive gore. The decision to include real life footage in the closing moments adds a layer of emotional weight, emphasizing the human cost of the tragedy while the narrative occasionally flirts with cliches. One day from retirement and a heavy dose of main character does everything. It remains grounded in the collective spirit of Boston's response. However, the film isn't without its flaws. The portrayal of the terrorists, especially the contrasting accents and westernization of the characters, may raise questions about cultural representation. Additionally, some subplots like the infertility backstory feel unnecessary and detract from the central narrative. Despite these minor issues, Patriots Day succeeds in honoring the victims and the heroes of the event. It's a compelling watch that balances action with the heartful moments, providing a powerful reminder of the strength found in the unity. Okay, this movie was grossed over 31,800,000. No, 31 billion. No, and $800 million. Okay, no, what am I saying? 31 and 800 million $1 million. That's the budget. Uh, this insane amount of accuracy in this movie cannot be underestimated. This movie has like many little parts that are accurate to the actual event. Surprisingly, people say that the movie doesn't show crazy action like $300 million Marvel fight scene. There are many people talking out their ass here. This movie is accurate to the initial bombing and even uses the real footage of the second bomb. The Laurel Street shootout was very accurate with the bombs that being thrown in the flank that killed one of the brothers. It is just a masterful piece of cinema. Rarely. I admit I have to enjoy it. Marky Mark it was surprisingly good in this dramatic role in the movie. It's pretty gripping overall. It really brings me back to his actual, his savage days and Four Brothers. That's what I like about this movie. The whole Boston strong sentiment and patriotism vibes can get a little heavy-handed at times, but I'm sure if I were from Boston, I'd probably feel differently. Still, the stories of the people it affected are genuinely powerful and touching. The film is unputdownable. It's a pity that Mark Wahlberg's character, apparently a cop inside character, was mooted as the cop who found the bombers in some reports, half a star removed for that. Though they may have been a reporter's fault. From what I could see in the film, it was the Chinese guy in a scarily ominous scene who did that. Along with his excellent memory, after a long sequence of pure terror for him, not some composite character. However, the real police characters were the ones who ultimately put their lives on the line. And I have never seen such a shootout that can only have been one take, surely. Sadly, an officer was killed, It was surprising in light of what occurred with the bombings on the marathon route and the subsequent roundup of the terrorists that more people weren't killed. However, a lot of people's lives were changed forever, and it was heartening at the very end to see the real characters honored, including the victims, the injured, the medics, and the policemen, FBI, despite some apparent eternal squabbles. And the true sense of camaraderie of a large city that ensued. Like the terrorist brothers were really okay played, I guess. The older, more aggressive brother bullying his younger brother, Alex Wolf from whatever freaking movie he's from. I don't even know anything about this Alex Wolf dude. Particularly memorable as the nervous, deep thinking, and almost reluctant terrorist into a submission, but that's how it works, doesn't it? There was some irony in the gateway with method by the younger brother, true or not. I don't know. The results of the violence in the film were not lingered on quite right, quite rightly. These were real people with the families, but there was no mistake the awfulness of that. And subsequent days see it and learn about how humans can come together for the greater good. No scams. May the victims of Boston bombing rest in peace. Peter Berg's historical drama action thriller, Patriots Day, actually floored me. I was deeply affected by the real footage of the bombing. Civilians very scared. To the police officers having to find and confront the two terrorists that committed the Boston bombing. I don't know what I thought Patriots Day would be, but it feels so real, like you're watching an account of the actual tragedy rather than a cheap recreation. Peter Berg's direction delivers a thrilling cat and mouse chase that is exciting action to watch, but never forgets to pay respect to those who died. Patriots Day is patriotic, respectful, and genuinely emotionally moving to me. It's haunting to follow Mark Wahlberg's policeman as he witnessed the bombing. It sees Boston civilians dismembered and frightened, getting shaken up by the violence, and determined to capture the preparatories. I'm glad Wahlberg produced Patriots Day as it shows what a massive undertaking it was to prevent further loss of life and track down the terrorists. It truly humanizes the tragedy to remember the fallen and respect what a devastating event it was in American history. Patriots Day is easily Peter Berg's best film. It is a gripping account of the terrifying Boston bombing that moved me, gripped me, shocked me. The bombing sequence is startling, but the final police standoff really disturbed me too, with the pipe bombs blowing up police cars besides the terrorist brothers shooting, which is something I don't see a lot in movies. you know, the brothers shooting at the Boston Police Department. No, what I was saying is that the final police standoff really disturbed me too, with their pipe bombs, right? That they make bombs out of a plot and blowing up police cars besides the terrorist brothers, like shooting at the police department in Boston. I kept thinking of the victims and their families and getting infuriated and sad. I appreciate Berg focusing on the brave silence of the survivors and how Boston united from fear into courage. You get why Boston Strong became the slogan for the city afterwards. Patriots Day is powerful and completely directed by Berg to keep you in the moment. Writers Joshua Z. Toomer and Peter Berg and Matt Cook provide tons of information and perspective from the Boston civilians. Present to the ground police doing the footwork and first responders, FBI, SWAT units, and all having to coordinate their efforts for one cause. Mark Wahlberg's phenomenal in Patriots Day and one of the strongest dramatic performances in ever as Boston Police Department Sergeant Tommy Saunders. Mark Wahlberg nails the frustrated cop being punished with guarding the parade, but humanizing him with his limp from his hurt knee. He's very relatable as a loving husband, working class guy, and a hardworking man of focus and determination. Wahlberg breaking down in tears after seeing the bomb victim's legs blown off as is a powerful scene. His fury and perseverance are gripping. Wahlberg was clearly on his game, respectful since he's from Boston. I'm sure he felt this was personal. He is emotionally in the moment of the entire time. Kevin Bacon is fascinating as a special agent in charge of the FBI, Richard Deslorars. Bacon finds a neat balance of pursuing the killers with tremendous force, efficiency, and determination. Bacon also shows how Delores was considering the ramifications of how Muslims could get profiled, attacked, or persecuted if they announced the wrong suspect as a terrorist. It's an interesting consideration for the authorities that I did not really think of what that they did. John Goodman is excellent as the forceful Boston Police Commissioner, Ed Davis, who is hell-bent on capturing the terrorists at any cost without the hesitations of Bacon's desk lawyers. J.K. Simmons is fantastic as a veteran cop, Watertown, and Police Sergeant Jeffrey Pugliese. This shootout confrontation is incredible tense. Michelle Monaghan is quite touching as Mark Wahlberg's concerned wife Carol Saunders, who is understandably scared after the bombing. She feels like a more natural Boston wife for a civilian's reaction to the terror. Michael Beach's determined governor of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick, is compelling. Jake Picking is sympathetic as Boston Mitt, Officer Sean Collier, who bravely refused to give up his gun to the terrorist even after getting shot. Lana Condor is sweet as Sean's girlfriend Lee, who was an MIT student. As much as I don't like Alex Wolff, but he was okay. He was good in this as the nervous terrorist brother, Zokhar Tsarnaev, as he captures the odd casual manner that Zokhar spoke about the serious crimes he committed. Timo Melekidze, whatever his name is fearsome as the monstrous terrorist brother. Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who forced his brother every step of the way into building homemade pipe bombs and pot bombs out of this extremist delusions over his religion and stuff like that, They make for a compelling on-screen pair, truly disturbing villains, knowing they really killed all these people so cruelly. You get their deadly dynamic with any rash decisions full of mistakes besides all of their heinous plotting. Melissa Bonist is as chilling and evil as Tamerlan's widow, Catherine Russell, who acts like she knew about the Tsarnaev brothers were scheming. Jimmy O. Yang is amazing as Don Mang or Manny, who the Tsarnaevs kidnap and steal his car to try and to enact further awful terrorist bombings. I felt awful for Mang as Yang portrays himself as a courageous and stand-up guy. What a frightening situation to be in that Mang handled like a pro. Christopher O'Shea's Patrick Downs and Rachel Brosnan's Jessica Kensky are very empathetic as survivors who lost their legs. Their bravery to keep going afterwards is very inspiring and brought tears into many viewers' eyes. Candy Alexander is professional as the solemn interrogator Veronica. Editors Gabriel Fleming and Colby Parker Jr. do intriguing and informative montages of real footage from the case that nail the shocking and terrible events. I felt like the audience are kept right in the moment with their tense cuts. Cinematographer Tobias A. Skelisers, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, sorry. But his striking handheld camera style looks sleek and easy to follow. The bright, dramatic lighting from Jesse Goldberg and Bob E. Krediger is pretty awesome. Camera operators Jacques Jaffret, John Garrett, and Koi Un keep the camera steady and slickly shot. The CGI for the blast recreations all look real like the actual footage. The police standoff sequences has terrifying stunts, gunshots, and explosions. Composers Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor deliver a pulse-pounding electric film score that is both respectfully somber and shockingly suspenseful. Sound designers Piero Mora and Randy Singer, Mike Presswood Smith, Albert Gasser, Bruce Tanis, Gary A. Hecker, John Ross, Jorah Morar, Michael J. Broomberg, David Rains, and Michael Keller. Add screams, explosions, gunshots, and all sorts of debris noises. Costume designers Virginia B. Johnson's sharp suits and uniforms look crisp and stylish. The hair and makeup team did great in making everyone look worn and tired during the search. Honestly, Patriots Day is a haunting 133 minutes. Wow, that was a lot for me to go over. Yeah. While this was a great film, I can't get over the glaring error that they made the child, one of the bombers, a blonde. Um, they did really think. Did they really think nobody would notice? I mean, lots of editing, but it's a lot of editing. Not enough story. Like it had to pass like after waiting for like a story to develop. But it had a very solid cast with a good story about how when something tragic happens, brings everyone together. An inspirational film that is based on a true story of the manhunt for the Boston Marathon bombing suspects. I actually regret missing this one out. This one actually was stood out to be one of my favorite modern movies. This has to be like one of my favorite modern movies of all time. Ever since I saw it a couple years ago. Sorry, yeah, this was a long review. I actually feel like I want to rewatch it again if I can, but I don't have it on DVD or anything or Blu-ray. I watched it on Netflix at one point. That was like 2 years ago, but I don't want to go back to Netflix just to watch this movie. Anyway, this is my review for Patriots Day. Really, really surprisingly good movie. Really good historical movie. If you're interested in this kind of the story about the Boston Marathon, check this movie out. It will not disappoint you. Anyways, this is my review. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon, and take care.